Welcome to the Practical Mystic Show, where we bring you simple tips and techniques from around the globe to help practical people deal with extraordinary experiences. And now, your favorite scientist, shaman, and sacred clown, and also the show's host, Janine Bolin.
Welcome to the Practical Mystic Show. I'm Janine Bolin, and today we're talking about the 60-40 principle. This is step 9 on the 10 Steps to Abundance, which is a free course that I offer on my website. You can go to the show notes below and look it up, but this is step 9. And in this episode, we're going to be describing what is the 60-40 principle. It is the core teaching that I have been sharing with people for probably the last 25 years, and I've written books, and I've done online courses about it. And what we're going to describe today is how you go about increasing your cash flow using the 60-40 principle on your current income. Because, face it, most people are living beyond their means, and you have some debt, and I want to help you learn how to take money that comes into your life that is not your paycheck, okay? I want to be very clear about this. You're already maxed out on your paycheck, or maybe you don't have debt, you're just, barely making ends meet. We want to get you to a place where you're a habitual saver, where you are a wealth accumulator. And if you have some sort of debt, maybe you have a medical expenses or you have credit card debt, maybe it's debt that's not even your own, maybe you're paying off someone else's debt. What I'd like to help you with is this 60-40 principle will help you pay down your debt, increase your savings while on your current income. And this is how it works. It's a simple system that will allow you to pay down that debt and at the same time increase your savings account balance. I call it the 60-40 principle because of the way it is set up. It is basically the system that I used to get my family out of debt back in 1987. I never thought in a million years that I would be running around the country giving talks on this. It was a system that I just used so that we could move out of the middle class so that we become millionaires. And my family was able to do that in about a 7-year period. Now, I have to admit, I'm not currently a multimillionaire like I used to be. I have had several life events that have definitely dropped me out of the millionaire status or multimillionaire status. I think at my height, I had $2.3 million in my family's estate, but several medical conditions, certain things occurred, and no longer, I can't say that I am a millionaire at this time. However, I can tell you this, I'm financially stable, and I see myself as financially independent, and I am working toward being a millionaire for a third time, but I have to admit I'm not there yet. The 60-40 principle is basically the concept or the main rule that I use to govern the way money flows in my life. I have now taught this to over 800 and some odd families one-on-one in consults, and I have shared this with seminars and talks all over the world now. If you implement the 60-40 principle on any money that you receive that is not your paycheck, you will immediately see your savings account start growing while your debt load decreases. If your debts are great, start only with the money that is not part of your income, such as like birthday money, rebates that you get, unexpected cash from part-time employment, your change jar, any bonuses you get from work, a tax refund check. You get the idea of what I'm talking about. Believe it or not, most people think that the only money they get in their life is from their paycheck or from some sort of a retirement plan or what have you, when in actuality, money comes to you in all kinds of different forms. But unless you have a system like the 60-40 principle to divvy up your money, it's difficult to pay down your debt and save at the same time, right? So what I want you to do is the 60-40 principle is basically a contract with the universe. What you do is you say, okay, from this day forward, any money that comes to me that is not a part of my regular income, whatever that looks like for you, I am going to divide it up according to the rule of the 60-40 principle, and I will pay down my debt with the 60% that goes into my living section of my life, and the other 40% I will divvy up according to the way the 60-40 principle operates. Okay? So how do you allocate your money with this 60-40 principle? It's simple. 60%, so let's say you get a check in the mail. Say it's a $100 check, and you weren't expecting that check in the mail. It's a rebate or insurance. You overpaid on insurance. Sometimes that happens, whatever. You get $100 unexpectedly in your life. Take $60 and you put that in your checking account, and if you have debt, you put that towards your debt load, okay? Then you're going to divide up 4 different things. There's 4 different areas you're going to take, and you're going to take $10 of that 100, and that's 10%, right? 10% in 4 different ways that you're going to move it. 10% of that $100, which is $10, goes into a long-term savings account, such as an IRA, a 401k, Keogh account, solo 401k. Basically, that $10 goes into your retirement fund, and you're not going to touch that until you retire. Then the second $10 is going to go into a short-term savings account. Usually this is at your local bank account or a money market account. And you only use this for large-scale expenses like you're saving up for new tires or you're saving up for an emergency or an unexpected expense such as the water heater blows or your dishwasher breakdown or something like that. The third $10 goes to tithing to a church or some sort of spiritual organization or a charity that is in line with your purpose. This is basically you paying rent for space on the planet. And then the fourth 10% is philanthropy. That's right. You just give your money away to whoever will benefit in your community at large. Basically, this is what's priming the pump to send money your way. Okay, so let's go over the 60-40 principle again. I know it can be a little confusing at first, but say you get $100, $60 is going to go into your checking account, and then you're going to put $10 in a long-term savings account, a short-term savings account. You're going to give $10 to tithing or $10 to charity, and then you're going to give $10 away to a philanthropic organization of your choice, a 501c3. Now, what am I talking about here? What we're doing with the 60-40 principle is basically you're setting up a contract with the universe. And what you're saying is this. Any money that comes to you that is not your paycheck, you are going to take 60% of that money and you're going to live on it or you're going to pay down your debt. You're going to take 10% and you're going to put it in a short-term savings account because that's your rainy day fund. When something unexpected happens, like you need new tires on the truck or something like that, you will pull money from that savings account so that you don't put it on your credit card because you're trying to pay down your debt or you have medical expenses or you have loans you're trying to pay off, right? So you pull it out of that savings account instead. And this is what keeps you from being driven further into debt, right? That's what that short-term savings account is for. Then you have the long-term savings account. Now, what is that saying to the universe? You're saying, I am saving money into a retirement account so that when I am no longer able to work or I choose not to work, I am not a burden to my family. I'm not a burden to my community. I am not a burden to my tribe. Do you see where we're going with this? Okay, then you give 20% of your money away. Why? Well, if you belong to certain religious organizations, it's called tithing, temple dues, heart gifts, heart donations, because you're paying rent because your soul inhabits a body on planet Earth. And so tithing is a way of keeping that body alive. It keeps you surviving. So you'll find people that are very poor who financially, all the money that they give is tithing, and they're able to just survive. Now, we don't want you to just survive. We want you to thrive. So you're going to give 10% away either to a spiritual organization that's doing good work that's in line with your life, or you're going to give 10% to a charity that's in line with one of the things that you want solved in the world. Now, the 10% that's philanthropy, we call that priming the pump. That is, you're giving your money away. That 10%, you're giving your money away to an organization or to a life purpose that is in line with your belief system, okay? So this is where you're giving money away because say you're afraid of starving, so you're giving money away to a food pantry. Or say you're afraid of becoming homeless, so you're giving money away to a homeless shelter. Whatever it is that you fear that you don't want to have happen to you, you give money to an organization that is solving that problem. Now, I have several people in my life who are like, Janine, I don't believe in a religion. I don't have a spiritual organization. I'm like, well, still, you have to give 20% of your money away. That's how you keep money flowing. It's part of the previous episode where we were talking about how money flows, the cash flow. And so what you are doing with this 60-40 principle is you're setting up a contract with the universe that you say, any money that comes to me that is not a part of my regular income, 60% will pay off the debt I already have, or I will live on it. 10% goes into a short-term savings account to pay for unexpected expenses. 10% goes into a long-term savings account so I am not a burden to my family or my tribe or my community. 10% goes to an organization that kind of pays tithing or temple dues or what have you because I belong to a religious organization, or I give 20% of my money away to a philanthropic organization or multiple organizations that is doing good work that I want to help be a part of the solution for this planet. So that's the contract you're setting up with the universe. Now, to get this ball rolling, how do you initiate the 60-40 principle? What I recommend for people to do is that you go, almost everybody that I've talked to has some sort of a penny jar or a cash jar or a tip jar or something like that. Go to a place where you have a lot of cash. That's your own money. Now, don't take from your kids, your parent, your mom, your dad. Make sure this money is yours. You go to that money and you divide it up according to the 60-40 principle. And I have had students that were only 12 years old and only had $5.25 in their sock drawer, okay? And they took that $5.25 and they split it up according to the 60-40 principle, and they had it all divided up in envelopes because they didn't have enough money for a savings account yet. And these kids started having money come into their life. One student told me he was 13. He was walking across the Walmart parking lot and the wind blew and he looked down and there was a $20 bill rolling to him. And he threw his arms out and told his family, "Nobody touch it. It's mine." And he said that because he knew the day before he had $13, $14, something like that, and he had split it up according to the 60-40 principle, and he knew that $20 was going to be used to open a savings account for himself. So you'll know how to split up this money according to the 60-40 principle. Anytime you have money come into your life, this is what you do, okay? So I hope that once you've retired your debts, you start applying the 60-40 principle to all your income. That's the goal. That's how you become a habitual saver and a wealth accumulator. This is how you become financially independent. The goal is eventually to get yourself to a point where you live on only 60% of your income. Now, I know right now that may seem totally impossible, especially if you have medical bills, especially if you have debt that you did not create, or if you're looking down the face of $100,000 of student loan debt. I understand. Okay? Not all debt has come to you due to your own life choices. And this is not about feeling guilty or blame. I don't care if you're the one that drove yourself into debt. That's not what we're about here. What we're about is, look, you're in debt, you want to save money, or you want to get to a place where you become financially stable. Then you become financially independent. I want you to be a wealth accumulator. Why? Because if you're doing all these things, you're living on some of your money, you're saving your money, and you're giving your money away, imagine what would happen if all 8 billion people on this planet gave 10% of the money they earned away. And they gave that money away to an organization or to groups of people that were doing good works and solving the world's problems. We would have no more issues. So let's start that little evolution now, shall we? This is why we make money. We make money so that we can do what we want out of life. And many of you that are attracted to the Practical Mystic Show are highly creative. And I want you to be able to create your art. I want you to be able to create your song. I want you to be able to write that book. I want you to be able to publish your work. I want you to be able to create that side business, create that side hack. I want you to have money in your life so you can live your life purpose, whatever that is. And the way that I know you can do this and accomplish it is through the 60-40 principle. Okay. Over the last several episodes, we've been walking through the 10 steps to abundance. I have this online as a free course that you can take on my website. You can go below in the show notes and be able to access that. The next episode will be step 10, which is about how you go about keeping control of your cash. It's all about relax, breathe, you are in control, and we'll be walking through the 10 steps of abundance pretty quickly. Just be aware of one thing. Rome wasn't built in a day. Okay? I don't expect you to be able to do all this in a day. Just build the skill sets that are necessary to become that wealth accumulator, to become that habitual saver. Why? Because I want you to be able to accomplish what you came to this planet to do. It's important, and I have faith in you, and I know that you'll be able to do this. You have any questions? You can reach me at www.the8gates.com. That's the number 8. Or you can go to LinkedIn and look up Janine Bolin. I will be glad to connect with you and answer any questions you might have. Good luck, and we'll see you in the next episode.
This has been the Practical Mystic Show with Janine Bolin. For show notes, resources, and more, visit the8gates.com. Thanks for listening.